downstairs, and we'll come back as quickly as we can. So in compliance with Chapter 551, Open Meetings, the Texas Government Code is amended. I call to order a meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Austin Independent School District for Monday, December 19, 2011 at 6:39 p.m. The board may meet in closed session to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, deliberation of purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, deliberation of negotiated contract for prospective gift to the district, deliberation about a commercial or financial information that the board has received from a business prospect, or deliberation of the offer of financial or other incentive to a business prospect, and or to consult with legal counsel regarding pending or contemplated litigation on or settlement offer or on a matter which the school district's legal counsel determines should be confidential, including legal consultation regarding a proposed agreement with IDEA Public Schools pertaining to an in-district charter in accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Sections 551.074, 551.072, 551.073, 551.087, and 551.071, respectively. Thank you all for being here this evening. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Mr. President, move approval.
Is there a second? Second, Ms. Torres. All in favor of that motion, please raise your right hand. Passed unanimously for the board members on the dais. And now we will do the pledge.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, I appreciate y'all being here. Please give us a few minutes. The board is going to move up to closed session, and we will return shortly. It is 6:41 by my watch, 6:43 by that clock. Thank you. We'll be right back. Started. I'll get. Okay, folks. Appreciate y'all's passion. We're reconvening at 7:28. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for all of your advocacy and involvement with the district and the voices that we have heard. But I'm going to ask something. I know there's a lot of emotion and passion about this, and I appreciate that from all the supporters of AISD and public ed and our teachers. Last week, and my apologies, the tone and tenor got a little negative, and I don't think that's necessarily productive. There's a lot of questions about philosophy and process about how this goes, but I'm going to assume good intent on everybody's part, including my fellow board members. And I think you have a lot of people up here who are working really hard to try to do what they think is best for kids. And so I'm going to request tonight that you guys respect that. We've got a chance for citizens communication where everyone's going to have a chance that signed up to speak. And then when that is concluded, we're going to turn to let the board and the superintendent discuss and deliberate the proposal at hand this evening. And I'm going to request that y'all give us that opportunity without chanting, yelling, disrupting the process. Y'all are welcome to stay. We're glad to have you. But please be respectful of the proceeding tonight. So we're going to go to citizens communication, but I want to acknowledge that I know we only had 30 slots. And people had to get here really early to sign up. And some of the people on the list are some familiar names, and there's some new ones certainly. And I know many others didn't get a chance to sign up this evening, and I apologize. But I think for many of you that have weighed in through other forums, we've heard you, whether it's been emails, whether it's been phone calls, whether it's been meetings in person, whether it's been, in some cases, text. I've seen the media coverage. I think my fellow board members have too. So I think a lot of voices have been heard. Obviously, we're not going to be able to get to everybody this evening. And so I apologize. At one point, there was an expression that we were going to have, and I want to see two former mayors and school board presidents. I don't know if they're in the audience, but Mayor Strayhorn and Mayor Garcia. Thank you all for being here. They were not able to be part of the 30, so at least to my knowledge, are not signed up this evening. They did request to address the board, and we have not had a practice, to my knowledge, of exceeding the 30. I did check with my predecessor, and really since 1998, there may have been precedent in the past, but since 1998, we've not made exceptions to go above the 30, and so I apologize to them for not being able to accommodate their request, and I know there are many others even beyond that wanted to speak tonight. I know, and I will say to the board, I know that there were participants in a press conference today that came out opposed to this proposal. So I think we are happy to have them here, and as with all the folks, they're welcome to what we typically have is people stand in support or of what they hear people saying at the dais and at the microphone, so people are welcome to do that. But I will say, while we've not had requests in the past, at least to my knowledge, formal requests from board members about trying to expand citizens communication, I'm going to request that the superintendent and the calendar committee actually work to look at that and find out what our process should be, look at the structure, look at the way we want to go about doing that, including how we ought to approach this and where we allow exceptions or not exceptions. So thank you all for being here this evening. We're looking forward to obviously a pretty difficult, challenging issue facing our district. We look forward for y'all's input. We thank you for your engagement, and I hope tonight, no matter what way it goes, that the level of engagement and support that we've seen from our community on this issue, you guys don't stop tomorrow, and you actually start, for those that are opposed, start working for supporting all the kids. And I hope you all start volunteering, mentoring, getting engaged in every school and every campus, because we have a lot of help in a lot of schools that need this level of energy and passion. So please convert, once we get through tonight, please convert your energy to constructive improvement in our district. Ms. Lavoie.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we invite former members of this august body, this Board of Trustees for AISD, to present tonight. This is in keeping with a longstanding tradition in our community at many levels of government. So move. Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have motion second. Now, we're not posted for action on this, Mr. Waxter, per se, but I guess this body can choose to do it if we so please. Obviously, a very difficult position we're put in, but we have a motion and a second. We want a discussion on this. Mr. Guzman.
Would that be a violation of our standing policy?
It would certainly be a violation of our existing practice. I'm not sure we have a policy that addresses this. We would be setting precedent tonight, and it's something we just have to decide how we want to handle it as a board. I know it's awkward and uncomfortable for those in the audience to do this, but we've got a motion from a board member in a second. Mr. Snyder.
I'd like to say that I'm actually going to support Ms. Lavoie's motion, but mine is based on just observation. I've been on the board now for 10 years. I was out there sitting in the audience for a long time before that, specifically when some other charter movements were discussed a long time ago. But I do remember that in the past we have recognized former officials and allowed them to speak at our meetings, even giving them a little bit more than the red light will up there. So my feeling is that this is actually something the board has done in the past, and I'm going to support that.
Okay, other comments or questions? Mr. Guzman.
I'm going to support the motion. I did have other former board members call me, and had I known, I would have asked them to come and probably get to speak as well. But I didn't know, and so, I mean, that's fine. I just, it would have been good for them to show up as well and speak. One of the other board members that called me was also a board president, and one of them was on the board about 12 years. So obviously, it would have been enlightening for us to hear from them as well, but I'm going to support the motion.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? So Ms. Lavoie, with your motion, when do you anticipate, would you like them to speak? The beginning or before, after the public has a chance to speak?
Out of deference to these former elected officials, I would suggest they go first. Thank you for asking.
Okay. So Ms. Barksdale, you okay with that going first? Question? Okay, board. there a motion and a second? Any other discussion? All in favor of that motion, please raise your right hand. That passed unanimously. Thank you, board. Mayors, school board presidents, please come forward. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President and board members. And I'd like to stick to the 2-minute limit.
Thank you.
That way you all have enough time. This issue, of course, has been in the media, editorialized and in the articles, and it points to a condition that exists in Austin, in our community, where the parents are very concerned. They do not feel that the process was transparent. They did not feel that they were heard, and they do not feel that they don't feel that their students will get the education that they deserve. And I think that one of the things that I wanted to do was come and recommend to you all to take your time to look at this issue. It's a complex contract. The many people who have written on this, both the people from the American Statesman editorial staff, and today the the guest editorial by the president of the League of Women Voters was excellent. Talked about processes that I think could be very good in getting the community to support whatever you do. One of the things I would recommend is that you consider going out to that school. You know, when we were on the council, on the school board, we had issues that affected then Albert Sidney Johnson High School, Martin Junior High, Bedichek. We always, as a board, went out so that the people didn't have to come and try to find a parking place where we had our meetings. It's the same thing here. I had to walk about 6 or 8 blocks so I could get here because there's no parking. So I would recommend that you take the time to go out to the school, to the schools themselves, to the campuses, and let the people address you. And Ms. Lavoie, thank you for that motion, and all of you, thank you so very much for supporting it, and good luck to you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. President and honorable members, thank you so much. I'm honored to be here with my friend Gustavo. We peacefully integrated the schools and started ACC, and thing we're proudest of. Let me tell you that it's been said that the most important political office is that of the private citizen. We're all private citizens before you tonight. The most important political people power, our children, their parents, and their teachers. I started out an AISD public school teacher, and I never forget my roots. For government to work well, it requires one key element: elected officials' trust in all the people they represent, those who voted for them and those who did not, and those who did not vote at all. Nothing's more important than education, and parents know what's best for their children. The safeguard of democracy is a government strong enough to protect the interests of a people, and a people strong enough and well enough informed to keep their sovereign control over the government. That means adequate, accurate, and timely information for all parents, and equal opportunity for access to information, access to board members, and opportunity to participate from the get-go when decisions are made. We'll fight for accountable, responsible, and transparent government, decisions made in the sunshine and accessible to all. A vote tonight for the IDEA charter decision, which was made de facto months ago behind closed doors, would be a vote for Austin in Wonderland upside down rather than Alice in Wonderland upside down. You must act responsibly and get off the dais and out into the school communities and hold positive board meetings at a time and a location convenient and large enough so all of our fine, hard-working East Austin parents who care and who dare to speak up and speak out and offer solutions for an exemplary Austin education for their children before any decision is made can offer those positive solutions. We urge you to vote no on denying democracy and to vote yes on an exemplary Austin education by rejecting the IDEA charter proposal. El futuro que quiero para mis nietas es el mismo futuro que quiero para todos los niños y nietas en la ciudad de Austin. Thank you very much.
Again, thank you very much for allowing us to speak, and we'll be...
Hold on a second, Mayor. The accolades got to settle down a second. The mayor's still speaking, so thank you.
Just wanted to say thank you to all of you for allowing us the opportunity to talk, to speak to you all. And we'll be working alongside with the parents and with the people that have asked us to join in this movement to help the students. As a parent of 3 East Austin students that have done very well after they graduated from Reagan, I feel very strongly that we can do a good job in all those schools. And I think Ms. Bradley and I have talked about this because she's been to Garcia Middle School, where we do what I consider to be a very good job in a difficult situation.
And let me just say, Gustavo and here, not just for tonight, we're here for the long haul to help you on these schools. I have 4 granddaughters in AISD right now, 2 in public schools in the District of Columbia. But I went to Allen Junior High School. I am an Allen Bulldog, so thank you.
Thank you all for joining us. Thank you. Okay, thank you all for being here, and we are going to now move to citizens communication. And just to remind everybody, this is the time we dedicated each regularly scheduled board meeting for public comments. Under the open meetings law and the rules of this board, there will not be a dialogue between the persons at the microphone and the dais, but we'll be taking notes. In order to provide as many opportunities for input as possible within a limited time period, each speaker will be allotted 2 minutes. As you move through your 2 minutes of allotted time, you will see the device that will light up. And when the buzzer sounds, please take the opportunity to wrap up your comments so we can move on to the next person, and each person who signed up will have the opportunity to address the board. We ask that whether you come to give complaint or praise, that you please reference the staff member by position or by abbreviated last name. For example, Mr. D or Miss A, unless you're addressing the superintendent of schools or the board, and then feel free to address us directly. And please remember, please do that respectfully. There's a lot of people working really hard for all kids in our district. And just as a reminder, the district's a local governmental body charged with serving the educational needs of all students, and board meetings must be focused on meeting this charge. All AISD board meetings are televised and then rebroadcast on AISD cable channel 22 and over the AISD website. So if I hadn't said it already enough, I'm just going to ask that all audience members, whether speaking or not, please show respect for all others at all times. And the Communication Services Department provides a Spanish language translator for audience members who need translation assistance when addressing trustees or need assistance understanding comments made to trustees during citizens communication. And if you need this service during other portions of the meeting, please feel free to speak with the interpreter. And Emma Gomez will repeat this message in Spanish. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Buenas noches, Presidente Williams, miembros de la mesa directiva y Superintendente Karstafen. Soy Irma Gómez, del Departamento de Relaciones Públicas y Enlaces Multiculturales, y estoy aquí para interpretar los comentarios que se presenten ante la mesa directiva. Lo estoy haciendo al español y también tenemos para hacerlos al inglés. Gracias.
Thank you. Okay, and my apologies in advance. For those of you that attended before, I am a major mispronouncer. So please come up and fix up what I mess up. Marina Herrera, Constanza Serna, and Joe Martinez.
Good evening, School Board. You already heard my story last week regarding me being from the Valley and having a daughter in the AISD at Eastside Memorial. Well, today I come to you with the children in mind. I know that you've already discussed it, you've already looked at the contracts, you've already had a chance to kind of make up your minds tonight. You're just pretty much appeasing us and listening to what we have to say. But I ask that when you listen to the children tonight, these children are the ones that are going to the school district or that are in your school district. They're products of Eastside Memorial, of the other schools. My prayer for y'all tonight is that God give you discernment when listening to them, that you can look them in the eye and listen to their words and listen to their heart and see that what you're doing to them right now is not what's in their best interest at this moment. Perhaps at another time, perhaps at a town hall meeting where you have time to discuss it with the actual people from the community, where they can ask you questions and see what it is exactly that's going to be impacting their children, their future children. Because someday, unfortunately, sooner than later for some of us, we won't be here, and this is what's left. They are going to be making decisions for us. They are going to be the ones that are going to be our community leaders, our school board presidents, our superintendents, our teachers. And we have to do what is right by them now so that we don't lose any of the ones that are on the fence at this moment. Whatever happens with IDEA, Mr. Torkelson will continue with his school district. That will grow. There's not even a question about it. Whether it's here or somewhere else, that will grow. But there's perfect fits for some people, and there's places that don't fit. As of this moment, what I have seen with these children, the love for their teachers, their emotion behind what they're doing, just the fact that they were out here this morning, some of them camped out last night to be here to show you what they are made of, what they have been taught in your public school system. We ask that you take that into consideration tonight, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Constanza Serna, Joe Martinez, Alicia Martinez.
Thank you. My name is Constanza Serna, and I am a second grade bilingual teacher at Allen Elementary. Though we have been an acceptable campus for some time, we work darn hard every day to meet and exceed that standard, as well as all other East Side acceptable campuses do. We are fully aware that there is much more thoughtful work to be done in collaboration with our East Side vertical team. We too share a sense of urgency in making sure all students can succeed at the highest levels, and we too faithfully think of our children first. But I have grave concerns regarding IDEA's instructional practices that I'd like to share with our community. IDEA's new elementary core curriculum is powered by direct instruction and a collaboration with the National Institute for Direct Instruction, whose educational methodology I will quote. Teachers will generally be required to behave differently than before, and schools may need an entirely different organization than they previously employed. The popular valuing of teacher creativity and autonomy as high priorities must give way to a willingness to follow certain carefully prescribed instructional practices. I don't know what this means or what this looks like. Is this best practice? We need more time and information to find out. But it sounds like our educational maladies can best be cured by prescribed education. What happened to differentiation? Has this been done in our community, anywhere in Austin? Do we feel comfortable with these practices that lead students to ask, according to a former IDEA teacher's account, "Teacher, when are we going to be allowed to think and ask questions?" This teacher said, "It tore me up inside, and I simply did not want to be a part of this anymore." Dr. Karstafen, you shared, and I feel you are genuine in your intentions, that you want to right the historical wrongs in the East Side. And I ask you, trustees, tonight, to let us help right these wrongs. Let the power of us, the teachers who know and invest daily into the East Side community, be a part of that change. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Serna. Just like Joe Martinez, Alicia Martinez, Anthony LaCara.
Good evening. My name is Joe Martinez, and I'm a parent of 2 children who attend Metz Elementary School, and I'm concerned about the district's plan to partner with IDEA Public Schools. As a product of the AISD public school system that attended Ortega, Brooke, and graduated from the former Johnson High School in 1999, I'm a walk-in wealth of information about how the school system failed, accomplished, and succeeded in educating myself and many other young adults in this city. This board has a responsibility to provide leadership for the education of the communities, children in which you all represent. Please ask yourselves, have you been living up to your mandated responsibilities? Have you been listening to the community? And have you attempted to work with the community to achieve a greater goal instead of ignoring us, as your past has proven? My answer to these questions, with the exception to Ms. B and Ms. B, plain and simply, no. The East Austin community is here today and has been barking at you all since this plan has been made public. How loud do Austinites have to get before you all listen? Why do we need to outsource our teaching jobs when we have plenty of knowledgeable staff already on our payroll? The nationally ranked 21st best high school in America is in our district. not to mention all the exemplary and recognized elementary schools in which you acknowledged at the last meeting. And yet, here we are, still trying to bring in outsiders to remedy East Austin Vertical Team's deficiencies. 6 East Austin schools were recognized by this board last Monday, in case you've all forgotten. This board has mentioned that they're tired of mediocrity and in need of something to change the game. Partnering with the charter school that performs at the same level as our local schools is embracing more mediocrity and lacking of game-changing ideas. Not to mention the fact that idea schools or idea students who fail a grade are forced to wear a different color shirt than their peers to identify that their children are not succeeding while others are. Is AISD ready to accept this type of discriminatory practice in our city? 12 years ago, I graduated from Johnston High School. I never assumed I'd have to look back on that school again. But choosing to stay in the East Austin community and now having children who are members or who are in this vertical team has drawn me back. For myself and this community, we'd like this board to know we are here, we want to be heard, and we're not going away after this vote. Vote no to IDEA and gain some respect back from this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Alicia Martinez, Anthony Leclerc, Brittany Nobles.
Hello and good evening. My name is Alicia Martinez. I am a proud parent of 2 students who attend Mentz Elementary. I am also a graduate of Johnston High School, class of 2001. I am a very concerned parent. Everyone claims that college prep is what we need in my community, and IDEA will bring it. I say we already had college prep 10 years ago at Johnston High School with the Liberal Arts Academy. We fought then to keep it at Johnston, but the board members then were not listening, as you are still not listening today. We as a community knew that the removal of the LAA would lead to Johnston's closure, and it did. My fellow classmates and I were beyond prepared for college. My first 2 years of college were a review. We rarely, if never, picked up a textbook, for all my classes were lecture courses just like in college. This is because AISD teachers who have great ideas and think outside the box. After last week's meeting and hearing Eastside Memorial students speak, I noticed that there is still a major problem that has yet to be addressed. Why hasn't there been a consistent leader at this school? During my 4 years of high school, I had 5 different principals. For over a decade, a principal has not been given more than 2 years to accomplish anything at the school before being removed or resigning. If a school is unable to have a steady leader in charge, how is it ever going to be able to function properly? We have the resources here to do the job ourselves, and the teachers who are more than willing to go above and beyond the call of duty for their students and the type of education they need to succeed. Let's get on the same page and vote no for IDEA.
Anthony Leclerc, Brittany Nobles, Jared Jackson.
Hi, I'm the head baseball coach at Eastside Memorial High School and English teacher. Dr. Karstarfin, trustees, first I would like to express my thanks to this board for turning its attention towards the East Side. It is necessary and we are grateful. I especially appreciate that the school board is taking careful consideration of the language within the contract that minimizes the ability of the contracting organization to engage in involuntary removal, a major concern that has been in policy literature for several years. Given IDEA's freshman attrition rates, your oversight is incredibly necessary. This is a small step in the right direction. Now, the school district has stated its position as governance through proven data-driven practices, but the proliferation of peer-reviewed data on reconstitution through turning schools over to outside entities, and specifically charter schools, has not shown to be effective. In fact, 15 years worth of data has shown disturbing trends. The top policy programs in this country, Stanford's Comprehensive Credo study, Columbia's Amy Stewart Wells, Jeffrey Hennig, Henry Levin, and countless others around this nation have quantitatively shown that these practices lead to further racial and economic segregation, a problem that we ourselves have yet to adequately address on the East Side. A quick look at IDEA's demographic data shows that they have not been able to buck this trend either. This has even been a finding of pro-market Hoover Institution through the work of Eric Hanashek, whose own studies have pertained exclusively to Texas charter operations. Though not to mischaracterize his work, his findings acknowledge racial and economic segregation with lower academic performance, but he still very heartily advocates for quasi-public charter schools. Just as important to all of us, when compared to traditional public schools, outside entities do not perform any better, and several times, 34% according to Stanford's Credo study, they score significantly lower, 54% the same. Okay, all right. These findings have consistently been corroborated by academic and policy institutions throughout the United States. Finally, I am concerned that no one from this district has come to speak with our students about the incredible experiment being proposed in which they will be the subjects. All right, and I'll get out.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Brittany Nobles, Jared Jackson, and Andrea Nereo.
Hi, I'm Brittany Nobles. I'm speaking on behalf of Amanda, longtime partner, coordinator at Eastside Memorial. During my 2.5 years at Eastside Memorial, I have witnessed the district behave unethically on numerous occasions. Before I provide examples, I'd like to clarify our motives and break through the rhetoric that tries to disguise our mission. It's not about the prospective job loss or any anti-charter sentiments. It's about the kids we serve on a daily basis, the kids we love as like our own. For example, the district has strategically tried to shut Eastside Memorial's doors since the inception. Not only did dismantle the Office of Resigns, our creators, but also removed Mr. Connor Grady as principal. Why? Because he knew he was capable of creating sustained success. You have compromised our state fund STEM program with your elusive thank you, tactics. We worked very hard to gain our status as T-STEAM designated campus. I'm sure taxpayers would be disgusted by your lack of transparency, unethical use of grant money, and inability to support general grant requirements. We have secured 50 STEM business partnerships. We developed 60 paid STEM internships for our students, each starting at $9 an hour and financially supported by outside organizations. We have an award-winning robotics program and supported by, thank you, again supported by outside organizations. Eastside is creating minority engineers by the dozens. Perhaps mostly important, we have created an environment where students feel important, secure, and to create, maintain their own success. Why are you also intent on dismantling such a positive culture? We gave you what you needed.
Please wrap up, Ms. Nobles.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Sorry. An acceptable state rating, increased attendance, and reduced dropouts. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you. Jared Jackson, Andrea Navillo, and Megan Buchanan. Jared, come on up.
Hello, everyone. I would like to take this time to read a letter from a parent who cannot be here tonight. Dear Board of Trustees, as a parent of one, but of not one, but 3 students at Eastside Memorial, I ask today that you vote no to changing anything at the school. I see no reason to implement this drastic change the school, since the students there are going what we're supposed to be doing by getting their test scores up. Also, the process which is being used and information in these communities and parents about these changes to the school are not very effective. I had no idea that the electives such as bands and choir and the arts would no longer be offered. Schools without music programs also seem to have a high rate of dropouts. I ask that you give these students a chance to continue to do well. With the previous principal, Mr. Grady, keep things the way they are. Thank you, Misa Andrews, mother of Brittany and Brandon and Jonathan Nobles. I will also like to add the level of arts education happening at IDEA is unacceptable. I look forward to Ms. Bennett's art class every day. The fact that quality arts education is not guaranteed in this contract is a tragedy and a mistake. Please vote no to IDEA.
Thank you. Andrea Narillo, Megan Buchanan, and Elijah Cofield.
I'm Andrea Nerio, and I'm on behalf of Mario Gamino. And good evening, board and trustees. I would like to speak. For many years, I have heard parents speak about Martin and Eastside as a school that has had no success. I cannot share that opinion. My siblings were at both Martin and at Johnston, and they were very successful. They both were involved in sports, my sister in music and soccer. Now my daughter, Iris Camino, is in Eastside in the 11th grade and is in music and robotics like myself. In my opinion, Eastside is a great school and she is an excellent daughter. I want to show my sincere gratitude for each of the teachers at Eastside Memorial. Thank God for those teachers in my brother's life because now he is a graduate at UT and my sister will finish her degree as well. We cannot blame the schools or the teachers. These are our children and our parents, and as parents, we are the responsible ones for their learning. Music and sports motivate many of the students. I would like to ask Dr. Karsarfin to not take away the dreams of our children. As parents, we will keep teaching our children to chase their dreams, and I will support them. I can imagine that anyone would take away our children's future at Eastside. I end this with the following quote. It's not sad to die with a dream that hasn't been realized, but it's sad to never realize how to dream. Thank you. On my behalf, I would like to say that Eastside, it's a family there. And there's many of us that would like to share our stories, but could not be able to speak tonight. There has been made many achievements. I'm in robotics, choir, and other extracurricular activities. I end this with saying that you should leave the school the way it is and let us succeed. I would like to urge you to vote no to the idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Got Megan Buchanan, Elijah Cofield, and I believe it's Kino Luna. That's probably not right, but we'll give it a shot.
Board members, you have failed Eastside Memorial at the Johnston campus, just like you failed Johnston High School at the Johnston campus. What have you done to encourage the so-called best and brightest that we are losing to charter schools or other Austin schools to attend Eastside? You failed to support and retain the human capital along the Eastside Memorial vertical team because you allow misleading information and negative stereotypes or rumors to persist. You've done nothing to stop these rumors when it would take very little effort for you to turn them around and bring attention to our progress and our successes. If you want us to succeed, and I believe that you do, then give us equal footing in terms of boundaries and transfer policy. Give us the opportunity to educate the whole spectrum of students. We don't need your money, we don't need more money, we don't need your charter, we need autonomy and we need trust. The contract says that you will give IDEA 7 years. Why not make Martin a true feeder and give us a real vertical team? Support and enforce our attendance zone and give us 7 years. If we don't exceed expectations, then bring in IDEA. With IDEA, you're building a narrow or niche school, and maybe all you see there is a possibility for great success, but this will come at the expense of shutting down an academically acceptable, comprehensive high school. Eastside is supposed to be a choice school, but the district has taken away or diminished everything that would make a student choose Eastside. You never allowed Eastside Memorial to succeed, even when we continue to show you that we can and we will. You have failed us, just like you failed Johnston and the entire East Austin community. Board members, Dr. Karstarfin, tonight you have the opportunity to own your failure and give the community back our schools. Do you see the relationships that have been built and the community that has been empowered by this entire debate? Do you realize the power behind this community and the momentum that would propel us forward together after tonight if you were to vote no to IDEA? Even if you shut out the community with a yes vote, we're not going anywhere. No one can say East Austin community doesn't care about the education of our children, but what will they say about you?
Thank you. Elijah Cofield, Keanu Luna, and Emilio Mendoza.
Good afternoon, Board of Trustees and President Mark Williams. Hi, my name is Elijah Cofield. I'm a junior at Eastside Memorial High School. I came to Eastside the second semester of my freshman year, and ever since I took my first step on the campus, I felt like I was finally home. The students and teachers at Eastside Memorial all work together as a team to help the students accomplish all of their goals and dreams. People think bad about our school because they don't know our school, anything about our school. These people have never stepped foot on our campus or sat down and talked to any of our students. They just go off the things that they hear. You keep telling us that it's not going to affect us, but it is. In 4 or 5 years, I want to look back and say I went to this high school. I want to go to our homecoming games and come back and visit my old teachers. But because of the idea and y'all and you all, I won't be able to do that. I want to be a lawyer and show everyone that just because I grew up in the East Side and went to Eastside Memorial High School, it doesn't mean I can't be successful and doing something positive with my life. Once again, my name is Elijah Cofield, and I say vote no for IDEA. It is not what the East Side community and schools need.
And I feel I mispronounced your name. Keanu Luna, Emilio Mendoza, Anthony Gilbert.
Good evening, Dr. Karstoffen, President Williams, and board members. My name is Keanu, and I'm a junior at Eastside Memorial. I'm here tonight to share my concerns with you. In middle school, I was offered the opportunity to go to any district school I wanted to. I chose Eastside after interviewing with some faculty members. As a freshman at Eastside, fellow classmates, myself included, traveled to stay at the University of Texas for a week. This was arranged by the staff of Eastside. Since my freshman year, my family has moved to Northeast Austin. I, once again, have chosen to stay at Eastside. Eastside, for me, as well as others, is more than just our school. It is a home away from home. I want to touch on a very important part of what we are about. We are about knowledge. We are about caring. We are about everyone getting the education they deserve in an environment they love to be in. We are about more than what IDEA can possibly offer. I ask that you please listen to us one more time to what we have accomplished in just 2 years. We have a total of 21% in our tax in 2 years. Our dropout rate has gone from 29% to 5% in just 2 years. Our graduation rate has increased from 45% to 60 to 70% in just 2 years. We have created an environment at our school that any student will tell you is something that keeps them coming back in just 2 years. But we are not done. Allow Mr. Grady to keep being our leader, and we can accomplish so much more. Please say no to IDEA and yes to our progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Emilio Mendoza, Anthony Gilbert, Amanda Austin.
Hello, Board of Trustees. My name is Emilio Mendoza. I'm a senior at Eastside Memorial High School. I think it is, or it might have changed already. I want to take a bit of time to talk about the fine arts. As you can see, I'm part of the band. I've been a part of the band for 4 years. I've been there since when it started, from 9 members all the way up to over 100 members. And I mean, I've seen such dramatic change. And when I look at the band, I also see kids with the highest GPAs in there. These kids are the smartest kids, and they all congregate towards the fine arts, the band, the orchestra, and the choir. Not only that, I'd like to highlight the robotics team most of all, because to me, these guys are the ones who've made the biggest achievement. From their first year, they built a little robot made of wood and was all the way down at the bottom. This past year, they've gone to the finals, competing with a team that was sponsored by NASA. We lost, but it was a good run. But the most comforting thing at the end of that was the team that was sponsored by NASA told us, "Oh, we wish that other team didn't pick you, because we wanted to pick you. We wanted you on our team." This progress from just 1 year is tremendous. Sorry. This progress is just in 1 year, and imagine what we can do in 2 or 3 years if you just give us the time. That's just 2 or 3 years. That's just 1 year that we did that. I'm no longer part of the robotics team, but I still look forward to them, and I know that they'll pull off something great this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony Gilbert, Amanda Austin, Carissa Pierce.
Hello, board. My name is Anthony Gilbert. I graduated last May, and I'm a freshman at the University of North Texas, double majoring in classical guitar performance and composition. This is my third time. This is my third time being here, and every time I'm here, it's always on something negative. I never just get to see you. But on a serious point, I've been through 2 band directors, I've been through 2 choir directors, and I've been through 3 principals since my tenure at Eastside Memorial High School. I've seen some of the most amazing teachers go through some of the worst disrespect by students on a daily basis just for a small hope to see that they change. And when they do change, that's not only a change in them, but that's changing their family, that's changing their background, and that's changing their culture. My band director sitting right behind me, Mr. Alan Gookin, told me something that stuck with me a while back. He said, "Lead by example and expect perfection." So I did. When I got to University of North Texas, I put myself on the, I was elected to be Resident Hall Association representative, student government freshman intern, put on the composers forum, moved up to performance after my first week of being at the University of North Texas, and on top of all of that, I left with a 3.25 GPA, and I'm on a full ride scholarship to the school. So when you say Eastside Memorial High School is a failure, you're saying that I'm a failure, and I'm not a failure. One of my professors, on my last point, my professor at the University of North Texas, Kimmy King, told me something. We're the now community. We want things to happen now. We want things right now. We want everything in our power happening right now. We want control of it. But you can't expect change to just happen in 1 year, in 1 day, in 1 moment. You can't just move people out and put someone in and expect them to change the 5 or 6 years of failure that have happened. You have to keep someone there. You have to keep a positive leader like Mr. Grady, like Mr. Connor Grady, in power and give him time, because that's all Eastside needs is time to change your minds. Yeah. My name is Anthony Gilbert. Thank you very much.
Hard to follow.
It is hard. Amanda Austin, Carissa Pierce, and Lori Barzano.
Good evening. I'm here as a concerned community member to address my concerns with the potential implementation of the IDEA Charter School. CEO of IDEA, Tom Torkelson, did not graduate with a degree in education. In fact, there is no available information telling if he even received a certification in education. His degree was in economics, and he taught for Teach for America for 3 years only. Yet you propose to let this man run an AISD-funded school. Does AISD hold their administrators' level of education and teaching experience at a lower standard than the teachers it employs? We must look at why. Why is IDEA pushing their way into our school district? Last year, Tom Torkelson made the single highest pay raise of administrators in Texas. His salary increased $94,000 to $239,000. What is IDEA's real reason for invading our schools? Is it to help Eastside students or to increase Mr. Torkelson's salary even more? Our public school education money must not be used to increase the profit of individuals or corporations, but must be used to pay our teachers and provide services for all children. Charter schools will be given public school funding. Where is the accountability for providing free and appropriate public education for children with disabilities as covered under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act? Sure, we know AISD has to provide services to them, but these children deserve to be served in their school, not just their local education agency. To transfer these children out of their home school because IDEA will not be able to meet their needs is segregation and discrimination. Education, especially with the public money, is a human right for everyone. We must protect our students from this corporate entity. By simply passing these students off to a charter school tells us three things. You are scared, you are out of ideas, and you are giving up. By giving up, you are showing us that you have no faith in the parents, families, teachers, or students of this community. The community no longer asks you to hear us. We demand you listen. Vote no to IDEA.
Carissa Pierce, Lori Barzano, Marcus Noriola.
Good evening, Dr. Karstafen and trustees. My name is Carissa Bierce, and I'm a CTE teacher at Eastside Memorial. I've come here today to ask you to vote no to IDEA schools. I'm not asking you to vote no because the Eastside vertical team is perfect, because it isn't. I'm not asking you to vote no because we don't have work to do, because we do. I'm not asking you to vote no because the papers say I'm afraid of losing my job, because I'm here for my students. I'm asking you to vote no because I think this plan was rushed. It wouldn't serve our most struggling students, and it would change the face of the East Austin community forever. Since the year after the closure of Johnston, EMHS, or Green Tech High, unfairly took on a PEIMS number that was already academically unacceptable, the 019 PEIMS number, while the other school on our campus that has since been merged in received a clean slate. The former Global Tech did pass in their first year with TPM. Yet the school that started out with the bad PEIMS number, they did end up passing. After 11 years of failure, the school with the 019 number did pass, and that is the current school in place now. The teachers, principals, and instructional coaches that you hired all made it happen. But let's be honest, it was actually the students that made it happen. As anyone who visits our campus can see, we have amazing, resilient, life-changing, anything but mediocre students. And if we started out with a clean slate, then we wouldn't have this reconstitution plan that you're basing this charter school on. We would have had a waiver in our first year, and we would have passed in our second year, and no reconstitution plan would have taken place. My question to you is, according to the new contract, IDEA has 1 year to make sure they are not academically unacceptable. With a new PEIMS number, as most new schools get, does that mean they have 1 year with a waiver or without? Because with, that truly equals 2 years. So who will take responsibility for all the lost educations if IDEA does not work? EMHS hasn't been given a fair chance. They have made vast gains and been exceptional. My students, who have my whole heart, said to you, we are acceptable, accept us now. But I would say, in addition, support your East Austin schools. Don't abandon them.
Just a second, Lori. Lori Barzano, Marcus Noriola, Angelica Noriola.
Greetings. Lori Barzano, parent, taxpayer, Coalition SOS, tri-chair, educator, social scientist, and philanthropy professional. America stands at a crossroads as a democracy, facing momentous choices in the economy and public education. When I search history for great influences on U.S. education, I find Thomas Jefferson, first to promote public education, believing it best government-controlled, free of religious bias, and available to all regardless of social class. Next, I find Horace Mann and common school reformers who set up compulsory elementary education. Last century, educators extended this to secondary grades. Why note this? Connect the dots. Now I search for major influence on education policy and find something perverse. I find Eli Broad, finance billionaire, Bill Gates and Michael Dell, technology billionaires, and the Waltons, anti-union, retail Walmart billionaires, bankrolling charter schools, data-driven accountability, and high-stakes testing as champions of the business model for public education. Why? follow the money. Taxpayers spend $600 billion a year on education. Testing and charter schools have become multi-billion-dollar industries. Beware private interests clothed as public virtue. Charters, test, merit pay, at-will staff, database worth, consultants, contractors, all represent corporate priorities, not the best interest of our children. Embracing these as policy takes the first step on the slippery slope to privatizing public education. Vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bartholomew. I've got Marcus Norilla.
He's not here yet.
Not here, okay. Angelica?
Yes.
Okay, Angelica, and then Geneva Govia Oliva and Gabino Fernandez.
As I look around the room and I see all the little blue T-shirts, I see an attempt to sideline and silence our community yet again. But as you can also see, East Austin has a strong defense. Why have long-standing rules been changed to accommodate IDEA? Will you do the right thing and vote no to accommodate us, the parents, students, and community of East Austin? I keep hearing the phrase, it's about the kids, not the adults. Aren't we the adults that elected you? Aren't we the adults that pay taxes to allow AISD to function to begin with? As parents, it is our duty to be a voice for our children. Where is your concern for our child and children whom you leave outside in the rain so IDEA can be cozy and dry and have a front row seat? How can board members who led a rally last year opposing school closures in East Austin be so eager to abandon our children into the hands of a business 300 miles away? What is wrong with that picture? I can count many things. Trustee Sam Guzman stated, IDEA is coming one way or another. Well, I say to the board, this East Austin community will not be bullied. In the movie Field of Dreams, it was said, if you build it, they will come. Well, this isn't a movie. This is real life. A few moments before the meeting started, I asked Tom Torkelson, what happens when you get no students? He replied, then I have no school. This is not a statement from a man who has confidence in himself or his ability to have students apply to his school. So I say to you, you can't force this upon us. You may build it, but that building will stay empty.
Geneva Govia Oliva, Gabino Fernandez, Alan Gukian.
Good evening. I am Geneva Govea Oliva with LULAC District 7. And I come from a family of 10. All of us are Johnson High School alumni, and none of us support IDEA. Once again, I'm here in front of you to demand that you withdraw the proposal with IDEA. You need to listen to your community, and especially to your students. Your Austin community who vote you in, and your Austin students who are the valuable product and proof of the job that you do. Tonight, I'm here to respond on some comments that were made last week. A comment that was made that we needed to be here every day, not only when there was a problem. Well, I need to remind you that we live in East Austin, so we are there every single day, and we are here when the problem affects us. Another comment that was made was time for us to accept the change. Yes, I do agree that we do need to change, a change in our school board. Because if you believe that closing our schools and paying an outside corporation to come in and do your job, then we as an Austin community need to change our school board. Another comment that I heard was that either way, IDEA was coming to Austin. Well, that's fine, let them come, but let them come in their own expenses, not in our expenses. I also heard that you say that you care and that everything that you do here was for our students. Well, after last Monday meeting, I have to say that that isn't true. Because if you really care, then you would have put this item first on your agenda and not kept our community and students here until 1 a.m. There's a question that I would like to ask you. Who is really benefiting from this? Because I know that it's not benefiting our community or our students. If you're going to make any money on this, then whose pocket is it going into? Because obviously, it's not going into our schools, our students. Our schools need to stay in public schools and not charter schools. We as parents and the community have the right to keep our children in our neighborhood schools. So vote no to IDEA. It's a wrong idea. Thank you.
Gabino Fernandez, Alan Gukian, and Roberto Martinez.
Good evening, members. My name is Gabino Fernandez. I'm the LULAC District 12 Director, and also a member of El Concilio, a coalition of Mexican-American neighborhood associations. And I come to you in support of the families, the parents, and the teachers that are asking this board for another opportunity to meet the challenge that they are facing academically. In June or May, we came before this board suggesting another entity be part of working the issues at Eastside Memorial. This board and this administration rejected that. We were told, Trustee Bradley, Trustee Guzman, work with Dr. Christopherson, work with her. We said, fine, it's LULAC. We'll work with her. And Dr. Christopherson, you said Eastside Memorial is not failing. So okay, we'll work with you. And because of that, on March the 3rd of 2012, we're holding a Parents Education Summit at Eastside Memorial with the help of the University of Texas, AISD, the neighborhood associations, and LULAC. Because what we are asking from this board is an opportunity to work with the teachers, the parents, the communities to turn around this high school and this community in regards to academics. As a former working for a former elected official, I'd like to commend and thank the 3 board members that have had the political courage to ask the questions. I know that it is tough. I received my tax statement the other day, and on there it says Austin Independent School District. So when I pay my taxes, I expect for Austin Independent School District to educate my kids, our kids in the community, not a generic nonprofit academic institution that has no experience in running an in-district school. So what I'm asking for this board is to vote no and tear up that contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan Gookin, Roberto Martinez, Ken Surface.
Good evening. My name is Alan Gookin. I'm the band director and PE coach at Eastside Memorial High School, and I've got a few points I want to make real quick, and I'll just jump right into it. My first point is just simply this. Consistency is the key, guys. You know, EMHS is severely lacking in consistency. We're the only time we had a tiny smattering of consistency in leadership at our school, we were rated academically acceptable, and that's only because we had 2 years with Connor Grady. The other years that we had, it was our first year with an interim principal. Our second year was Connor's first year, and then we have another principal this year. We're poised to be on our 5th principal in my tenure since 2008. That's inexcusable. We need to have consistency. You point to the other schools in our area. You look at since 2008, EMHS is about to have 5 principals since 2008. Anderson High School's had 1. We've been rated academically acceptable 1 year since 2008. Anderson's only been rated academically acceptable for 3 years. Not a whole lot of difference there. But yet EMHS has been poised for closure for 3 times. You look at another, to put it a little closer to home, Eastside versus Reagan. Eastside is going to have a 5th principal this spring. Reagan's only had 1 since 2008, and yet they've been academically acceptable twice since then. It's because they've had consistency in policy and management of that campus. We need to have that same adherence to consistency on our campus as well, and you'd see the same turnaround there. We're also tired of hearing about the money issue. There's zero guarantee that the charter students will want to come to IDEA if they're going to go to a charter school instead of an Austin Independent School District school. Global Tech and Green Tech had a hard time getting kids in the door, and they were giving out free laptops. So what makes you think that IDEA is going to get these kids in the door? And lastly, and I know my time's almost up, guys, I just want to stress, please don't give up on our efforts. We had a trustee recently quoted as saying, IDEA is coming one way or another. Are we saying that the Austin ISD is absolutely cannot put a better product into college or into the workforce than IDEA schools? We should take that as a challenge, not a threat. Those destined for, at best, mediocrity throw up their hands in defeat at the first hint of trouble. But those destined for greatness stand up and fight harder and smarter in order to succeed and ultimately win. Please don't give up on us. Stand with us and fight and let the pride of Eastside shine. Thank you very much for your time.
Roberto Martinez, Ken Surface, Daniel Gack.
Good evening. Being a concerned community person, I have been involved at Eastside Memorial for the past 3 years as a student mentor, as a sponsor and facilitator to a school event, involving parents, teachers, students, and community leaders, and as a mentor to a student planning group. 3 years ago, at a large school rally, several of you challenged the students of Eastside Memorial to work hard for themselves and their school, and that you would support them and that you would be there for them. For 3 years, the teachers and principals have worked hard to bring them together as a committed student body that has happened and is noted in their improvements in their tests, the reduction in dropouts, their participation in extracurricular activities, sports, music, art, and robotics, and others. The students and teachers inspirationally expressed it last week, inspiring last week, and again today, tonight, you heard them. And now you want to change that. You're ignoring them to change that. Because you believe there's a better system. But I think it's a tragedy. Not because what you want for them is not good, but a tragedy because you're not recognizing the good the students have done and are doing. And to destroy their accomplishments, even for good intentions which may not result, is a tragedy. For not only are you destroying all the hard work that they're doing together as a family, but you're destroying the spirit of teamwork. It takes a leader to recognize the strength of their young and to acknowledge and nurture their commitment and to help them to even greater accomplishments. For the power of organized youth with teachers and parents committed to improving themselves and to working together is a worthy effort for you to acknowledge and to support. I trust that you and hope that you will value and nurture and will provide that guidance. Support Eastside Memorial. Don't change it.
Thank you. Ken Zerfus, Daniel Gack, and Caroline Sweet.
Good evening, Board. My name is Ken Zarefis. I'm co-president of Education Austin, the Teachers Union and School Employees Union. Why is taking time for a thoughtful decision such a subversive idea? As it stands now, it's no wonder that the community has overwhelmingly said, no idea. Why wouldn't they when no one has listened to them? Not IDEA, not AISD. It is incumbent upon AISD to take more than a few weeks to decide such a serious issue. If it is in fact a good idea now, it will be a good idea later. While AISD has held community meetings, those meetings have been more like a sales pitch for snake oil than meetings that respect input from parents, students, teachers, and others who want to work together to achieve a common goal. It is as if the decision to hand over Eastside Memorial and Allen Elementary to IDEA has already been made, and these community meetings are simply a way to placate parents on AISD's fast track to approval. These meetings have been destructive and combative, not the sort of productive and collaborative gatherings that would build the community's trust in AISD. They have only added to the distrust that the Eastside community feels toward the district. AISD needs to listen, even if they don't like what they're hearing. During this process, many people and groups have spoken up, but instantly they have been marginalized or dismissed, whether it's parents, teachers, students, researchers, or labor. The perspectives of these various groups have raised concerns, posed questions, and challenged the suspect claims of IDEA charter schools, only to be ignored in AISD's march toward approval. It is ironic that the district and board profess a desire to battle the historical inequities of East Austin, yet now would perpetuate those very inequities by not listening to the East Side community and working with the East Side families to solve their problems. For generations, these inequities have stemmed from the lack of authentic East Side voice in decisions that have been imposed on their community. To change this historical pattern of dismissive leadership marked by a paternalistic attitude of, don't worry, we know what's best for you, AISD must listen to parents in making major decisions affecting their families and must incorporate their needs and wishes into proposed solutions. Otherwise, in the absence of genuine engagement that listens and acts in concert with the community, our leaders are doing no better than those who came before them. Please vote no.
Daniel Gack, Caroline Sweet, Alma Berrios.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Gatch, and I teach at Go Valley Elementary. I am here tonight to express my deep concern for the actions being considered by Superintendent Karstafen and this board. Let's visit this idea of choice. This is a false choice that students at Eastside and Allen are facing. A true choice would be to give the students and their families the opportunity to choose between their neighborhood school or a charter. Instead, they are being given a false choice where the options are given to them rather than selected by them. Either go to IDEA or leave your community. What kind of choice is that to give our children? I'm not here tonight to rail against IDEA, but rather to ask you, have we at AISD done enough on behalf of our charges before we retreat from them and hand over their future to a group that is not of East Austin, who does not know them, and who has no urban experience in education? In my short time as a teacher, I have experienced a train of initiatives come through East Austin, like RTI, EdLab, REACH, but were all under-supported before their effects could be fully realized. An integral part of the REACH program is that there is a mentor on campus to help our inexperienced teachers, and not halfway through this year, our mentor is gone and we're still waiting for a replacement. How can we say we have done everything we can to improve our schools when we have done so little to implement these initiatives with fidelity and fervor? We owe it to the Eastside community to support these programs to see if AISD can support itself by its own metal, rather than by an outside program that we do not know or have not chosen ourselves. Throughout this debate, our teachers have been questioned and maligned. I speak for myself and many other teachers in East Austin when I say that we are ready, we have been ready, and that we will be ready to serve our students and their families whenever and wherever we are needed. When we are told that charter school teachers go above and beyond normal public educators, that they are given cell phones to stay in contact with the students, I want to make it plain that no one had to give me a cell phone. It's right here. I am available anytime for my community, and no one had to put it in my contract to do so. We want this challenge with your support, but instead we're being asked to step aside and let someone else do our jobs. I'll close my remarks with this. I have heard the chants, "We are acceptable outside." To that I say, you Eastside students are not acceptable, you are exceptional. The treatment of this community, that is unacceptable. The students and their families deserve better. They deserve respect. They deserve a voice. Thank you.
Caroline Sweet, Alma Berrios, Mary Alvarez.
Hi, Caroline Sweet, AISD Teacher of the Year. I wrote to you all this weekend, and 2 of you were kind enough to respond. I asked you all to consider the dilemmas that might arise for 2 different types of mothers. I spoke to you all last week about the lack of bilingual education in the IDEA model. The superintendent said I was wrong, that they do offer bilingual education. However, the contract says that English language learners will be served through immersion or inclusion. No mention in the contract of bilingual education. So think for a moment about the immigrant mother who made enormous sacrifices to be in this country and provide a better life for her child. She hears there's a school that will make sure her child goes to college, but she must take the risk that her child will lose his native language, that he may not grow up to be bilingual and biliterate. You say this is just a choice, but immigrant families will be asked to give up more than any other family. Please also consider the situation of the teen parent in East Austin. Where will young mothers go to high school? There's no mention in the contract of what will happen to the Eastside Daycare Center, the same center that served the community for 33 years, the same center that I attended as a toddler, the same center that my mother worked in for many years. Will the teen moms be asked to ride the city bus to Reagan or to Travis, where they already have daycare centers with huge waiting lists? Young mothers deserve the opportunity to complete high school. As the 4th graders and I worked together today on our poetry unit, we ran across this poem by Francisco Alarcón, so I shall leave you with these words tonight. Sometimes dreams that ignore or exclude the dreams of others become nightmares.
Alma Berrios, Mary Alvarez, Tim Eubanks.
Buenas noches, miembros de la mesa directiva. y Superintendente Castarfen. Mi nombre es Alma Barrios, soy madre de 3 hijos en Go Valley y uno en Eastside Memoria.
Good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Karstafen. My name is Alma Barrios, the mother of 3 children at Go Valley and 1 at Eastside Memorial.
Quiero expresar mi preocupación y mi coraje con la propuesta que van a votar esta noche.
I want to express my concern and anger at this proposal that you'll vote on tonight.
Por favor, ya basta por favor, ya basta con tantos cambios. El año pasado quisieron cerrar muchas de las escuelas de nuestro vecindario. Luchamos para salir adelante. Nuestras escuelas fueron aceptadas y reconocidas. No estamos conformes con ser reconocidos. Seguiremos luchando para mejorar día tras día. ¿Por qué otra vez estos cambios? Ya basta. No jueguen con nuestros hijos.
Please stop all the changes. Last year, you wanted to close many schools in our neighborhood, and we fought to get ahead. Our schools were accepted and recognized. We are not satisfied with being recognized. We will continue our efforts to get better every day. Why these changes again? Enough. Don't play with our kids.
Las estadísticas basadas por el profesor Edward J. Fuller y el director ejecutivo del Centro de Educación Evaluación y Educación y Análisis Políticas de Penn State reclama la información de la superintendente está inexacta y limitada al público.
Statistics from Professor Edward J. Fuller, Executive Director of the Center for Evaluation of Education and Political Analysis from Penn State, says that the superintendent's information is inexact and limited to the public.
Por ejemplo, IDEA reclama tener el 100% de sus graduados que van a la universidad. Solo el 65% de los estudiantes del grado 9 llegan a la graduación. Los estudiantes de cada... Perdón. ¿Puedo terminarlo? Los estudiantes de cada corte se han salido por razones... por razones personales o por influencia de salirse e ir a una escuela pública y así IDEA recibe sus buenos resultados de los estudiantes que se mantienen en un programa. La escuela no está inscribiendo a niños que están batallando académicamente y ayudarlos hacia el éxito, si no reciben a los estudiantes que ya están avanzados académicamente.
For example, even though IDEA claims that 100% of their graduates go to college, only 65% of their students from grade 9 get to graduation. The students from each class leave for personal reasons or due to pressure to attend a public school. That's how IDEA gets their good results from the students who stay in the program. The school is not admitting kids who are struggling academically and helping them to succeed, but rather they are enrolling the kids who already excel academically.
Señora Castarfen, le pedimos que piense con el corazón y no con nuestro dinero.
Dr. Karstafen, we ask you to please think with your heart and not with their money.
Thank you. Mary Alvarez, Tim Eubanks, and Bernardino Lucian Villaseñor.
Dr. Scarfin and board members, I stand before you today with no other agenda than to ensure that our children's voices be heard. IDEA is not what our children and our community needs. Our children have been pushed to the side and ignored for far too long so that personal agendas can be pursued. Mr. Guzman, you stated at the last meeting you're doing this for the children. I ask you, whose children? It's clearly can't be the children in East Austin. I haven't seen you in our community or in our schools. I ask you, how many students do you have in AISD that are going to be directly affected by this choice? My children, my nieces, my cousins, my neighbors, and my friends, they are in East Austin. They will be directly affected by this choice. I ask you, why are you passing the buck to sending the message that you have given up on our students? Why aren't you choosing to support the students and the wonderful teachers that we have at our schools? The teachers and the students, with your support, can get the job done. I ask you, what are your plans to assist the children with this transition? What's going to happen to the ESL students, the students that look forward to the fine arts programs? What are the children's parents who can't travel to Ortega or Go Valley so they can participate in their children's education? What are they going to do? How are they going to feel? There are just so many questions that have not been answered. I plead with you not to vote on this. I ask that you wait. We put you on the board to do what is best for us. I ask that you ensure that all questions are answered and do what's best for the students. I ask that you take the time to come out to our schools and our community to see what is best for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim Eubanks, Bernardino Lucian Villaseñor, and Vincent Tovar.
All right, Superintendent Karstarfin, President Williams, and members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to speak on this important issue. I want you to know that I remember sitting in this very board auditorium when the school board made the decision to keep Webb Middle School open and allow the community to develop a plan for its improvement. That was a risk. That was a risk because at the time, the administration had recommended turning Webb into an all-boys school and that it was a done deal. So it was a tremendous risk that the board took, and it paid off. Today, we see tremendous gains at Webb Middle School academically. That spoke to something at Reagan High School, at Oak Springs Elementary School, at Johnston High School. Time and time again, you saw a board partnership in the 2000s, board partnership between the community and the board to say, we are going to invest resources in the community for you to come up with a plan to improve your school, and it paid off time and time again. This is one of those opportunities. What we are seeing tonight is a tremendous amount of energy, a tremendous amount of mobilization that can be utilized for our schools. If we approve this contract for IDEA, we squash that energy. That energy that can be used to transform our schools as it has on so many other campuses. This is an opportunity for the board. This is an opportunity for the board to show leadership and to show courage and to do what's right by the community, to allow the community to invest its resources in a plan for its own improvement. Please say no to the IDEA Charter. Thank you.
Thank you. Bernardino Lucian Villaseñor and Vincent Tovar.
My name is Lucian. I'm a UT student and tutor at Martin Middle School. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Board members. Board members. It is a shame. It is a shame that you are not listening to the people you represent. That you are not listening to the people that you represent. When you say yes to charters, you are giving a nod of approval. You are giving a nod of approval to businesses that wish to exploit students. The more you invest in charters, the more resources are drained from public education. Education isn't bad because of lazy teachers. Or parents who don't care. These are just myths. It is because the community is being ignored. Just like this board is ignoring the cries against IDEA. When I see the students I tutor in Mr. Lee's classroom, and think about the path that you're setting them on, and I'm deeply disturbed. You treat students, teachers, and workers like raw material to be pushed through the system. But they aren't material. They are human beings. They are the lifeblood of education. Stop thinking with costs and benefits. And start feeling with your heart. Usen su corazón. Understand that if this board Sides with idea. Sides with businesses. Sides with capitalism. You will only make us stronger. Because the more you try to crush our future, the harder we will resist. We will agitate. We will educate. We will organize.
Please wrap up.
Vote no on idea.
Vincent Tovar.
Everybody in the room, if you have Panther pride, put your paws up. Put your paws up. Keep them up. Please look around the room and notice who has their paws up. Keep your paws up. This is community engagement. This flyer was sent to parents for the first community meeting on October 20th. It says, join us to discuss preliminary scenarios for new academic programs in school year 2012-2013. This neither mentions an in-district charter school nor Allen Elementary. And what school is this? That looks like a first-year idea school. This is not community engagement. But we keep our paws up. Community still went to the meeting and were given little time, this meeting, to speak, leaving frustrated, saddened, and angry, but we kept our paws up. This was the flyer for the November 3rd meeting at Martin. Same lack of information, but we kept our paws up. Last Monday, the East Side and Greater Austin community were inspired by the East Side Memorial High School kids. They're kids, but they weren't recognized for it, and we kept our paws up. Since then, the Austin League of Women Voters have come out with their attorney to criticize this process and contract. Their respected paws are up. Austin Icon spoke to press today to oppose IDEA. Their paws, their honorary paws are up. Last Friday, I went to Allen's winter program, and again, 9 out of 10 parents hadn't heard of this proposal last Friday. But they're in those back rows with their paws up. This morning, we reserved IDEA opposition spots before IDEA showed up. We reserved those spots before IDEA showed up, but a backdoor deal was made without our input to reserve them 15 spots at this meeting. I have 2 words for IDEA who showed up late. No excuses. Grow a pair of paws. But they're here again. They're here and again, whatever. They're here and again. And again, we see neither African American IDEA staff nor alumni. And we keep our multicultural paws up. We have yet to see Eastside Memorial High School vertical team families, especially at elementary level, speak in support of IDEA.
Please wrap
You
up,
just heard from
Barr.
community, Eastside supporters. This is what community engagement looks like. The city is watching. TEA is watching. Now that you receive our engagement, will you respect it? Look at the pause. Look at the pride. Allow this unity and energy to propel and being able to trust each other and truly collaborate. Vote no. Vote no to IDEA. Vote no to IDEA. And put your paws up for the Eastside Memorial High School vertical team community. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for coming out. The conversation is going to turn to the boards. We want to make sure that now that you've all had a chance to speak, let's let the board discuss and deliberate with our superintendent. Ms. Lavoie.
I move that we vote to not move forward on the IDEA charter this evening, and I do so. I do so for 2 very important reasons that should be embodied in my proposal. Number 1, it is out of deference to the community input that we have heard. We have heard. Let me repeat, we have heard. And because the contract before us violates our local policy, EL local, it violates 7 of the 19 required elements that must be present in a contract. Thank you, Mr. President.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. in front of us?
I have a
Ms.
comment.
Barksdale.
I am truly, don't even know where to start on the contract that we have before us. There are so many unanswered questions in this contract that I'm afraid to move forward as the board. And I also hear Trustee Lavoie's comment on public input, and I do respect the idea of moving out to the community, taking this board meeting out to East Austin, out to the affected schools. For people that may not have a ride, may not have a way, may not have understood the flyer, may actually be interested in an idea and just haven't even heard about it yet. I don't know, and I don't think we know. I've been on this board for a year and a half, and I've gotten more emails, phone calls, data, drops by from my professional office, and input on this than anything else. That includes the RIF, the budget, and everything else. There's something we've missed in terms of our outreach, despite probably, I think, valiant efforts on behalf of the administration. So I am willing to support Trustee Lavoie's motion.
Okay, other conversations? Mr. Snyder.
Ms. Lavoie, I'm also going to support your motion. I've been on the board 10 years, and this is one of the most divisive and poisonous issues I've ever seen come before this board. That includes the attempted closure of Webb and a number of other schools. It includes 2 RIFs that I've been through, as well as a number of other issues. I can also remember, as I alluded to earlier, seeing the issue of charters discussed before I was elected to the board. And I think that what we have done recently in this community is even worse than what that discussion was. So I also feel that the only thing that's appropriate to do at this time is to table the motion. I have equal concerns about the contract. There are a number of issues that I just don't feel comfortable about. I don't feel that they're actually defined in the contract at the moment. And I believe that the best thing for the community at this point is to table the motion.
Just to make sure, are you tabling Ms. Lavoie's motion?
No, Mr. Williams.
That's the only motion we have before us.
That's true, and I would
So
be
you support
incorrect to
tabling?
say that we're tabling Ms. Lavoie's motion. I don't think we should move forward on the idea as a charter initiative, and that's what I'm referring to.
Okay. So, Ms. Lavoie, can you please restate your motion?
I move that the board decline the agreement presented to us tonight to approve an in-district charter for the IDEA schools. And I base that motion on 2 principles. Number 1, we've not met the tests of proper public inclusion in this process, and I ask the administration to do a better job in the future. And secondly, the proposal before us tonight violates 7 of the principles that are required in our local in-district charter policy, EL local, and therefore we may not proceed on this. Thank you very much.
Okay, I may have missed it. That didn't sound like the exact same motion you said the first time. So I'm trying to make sure I got the right, because so there was a motion, but then it sounded like that was actually worded differently than the first motion.
Would you like me to do it a 3rd time?
Well, if you can get one of the 2 that you did first and pick which one you want.
I'll take the second. It is a more precise statement of exactly what I intend. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, let's make sure, because we had a motion and a second on something different originally, so I'm just trying to make sure. So let's be clear. So your motion, please repeat it, and I got to go to Ms. Barksdale, because it's actually a different motion, I think, than it was originally seconded.
Mr. President, let's ask the board secretary to present to us a rendering of the first motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Boyles, do you happen to have that? Okay, and that was the motion that was seconded by Ms. Barksdale. So do you want to continue with that motion, or do you want to go to the second? It's not worded substantially different, but they are different.
I'm delighted with both motions, and I'll proceed on the first. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Barksdale, well, Mr. Guzman had a comment, so you had seconded the motion. Mr. We're having still for discussion. Mr. Guzman.
We have two motions on the table, the way I see it. It would be maybe prudent to remove one, maybe the first one, and that way there's no
Thank
misunderstanding
you.
as to
So,
what the motions are.
Ms. Ms. Lavoy, there was two separate motions. You want to remove the first or second one?
The two motions are identical in intent, and so I'll consult with Ms. Barksdale, who seconded the motion. Ms. Barksdale, would you prefer the first or the second?
The second.
Thank you. We'll go with the second. Thank you, Mr. President.
Hold on, folks. I know this is entertaining, but we're trying to get some clarity because if the board's going to act, we got to make sure we're clear. So, are you removing the first motion, and then you're going to go with the second motion? So, Ms. Lavoy, is that you remove the first motion?
As Ms. Barksdale advised, I accept her advice. Thank you. We'll
Okay,
go with the second.
so you're going to remove the first motion?
Yes, that would be fine.
Ms. Barksdale, do you allow the second? You seconded the first motion. Are you okay with the removal of the first motion?
Yes, Mr. President, I have a question.
Okay, so Ms. Lavoy has a second motion that I don't think got a second. Is there a second? A second. Okay, let's open the discussion. Mr. Guzman.
No, go ahead.
Barksdale.
Trustee Lavoy made reference to violation of EL local policy regarding in-district charters. I'd like to hear specifically what those matters are,
Ms. Lavoy.
if you care to.
Thank you for the question, Ms. Barksdale. We have before us the Charter Campus or Program EL Local. It was passed by the board on March 2nd, 2011. It requires 19 essential elements be part of any contract that goes forward for an in-district charter. The elements that are deficient in the contract before us tonight are, and let me read directly from the document into the record. A final application for campus-based charter or district-initiated charter shall include the following: an enrollment and withdrawal process. The withdrawal process is not spelled out in this document. A final application for a campus-based charter or district-initiated charter shall include the following: a safety and security plan that includes a crisis plan, staff training, safety and security drills, and procedures for handling bomb threats or other safety threats. Very important for the protection of our children. The third element, again, I read to you: a final application for a campus-based charter or district-initiated charter shall include the following: an employment plan consistent with federal and applicable state guidelines, due process requirements, and contract non-renewal and termination procedures. I read to you again: a final application for a campus-based charter or district-initiated charter shall include the following: a proposed calendar, length of school day, and staff workday calendar. The language in the contract is vague and uses the term generally. A final application for campus-based charter or district-initiated charter shall include the following. And let me highlight, this is among the most important deficiencies: a plan for special education population programs required by law, including Section 504, special education, bilingual, and ESL. I underscore, simple mention of those terms does not constitute a plan. I will continue. A final application for campus-based charter or district-initiated charter shall include the following: the purpose and need for such a campus or program. A final application for a campus-based charter or district-initiated charter shall include the following: the role of the Chief Executive Officer responsible for personnel, the budget, purchasing, program funds, and other areas of management. And finally, A final application for a campus-based charter or district-initiated charter shall include the following: a plan for student activities and counseling services, also of paramount importance in meeting the needs of special students. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
So, okay, Ms. Barksdale.
I'm not sure who to turn to for this question, maybe you, Mr. President. Are we allowed to proceed on a contract that does not include those elements that meet our local policy?
Well, I think we have to get a general counsel. We can certainly proceed. The choice will be the board's, whether we want to move forward. And this could be criteria for decision-making that each person would have, whether they feel like it adequately satisfies the requirements of policy or not. Mr. Waxler, am I accurate in that description? Okay. Sure, please.
So,
Just let me make sure we address Ms. Barksdale's question. I'll come back to you in just a second. Because, no, Mr. Waxler, just Mark Barksdale, do you have your, do we address that question sufficiently about the elements of the contract relative to the policy?
Tell me again what the question was, just want to be sure.
I'll make sure, there's questions, and I think I sort of answered, but whether, the question is whether these elements, I guess it's two-part, are in the contract, the application elements that were described in policy, and if they are or are not, does that affect the ability of this board to move forward on a contract? Okay, let's give it a shot.
Mr. Waxler, before you speak, will you let us know, is this guidance on behalf of your counsel to the board or guidance on behalf of your counsel to the administration? Can you please let us know?
Ms. Lavoie, as I have mentioned many, many times before this board, my client is a majority of this Board of Trustees. Anytime I speak to this Board of Trustees, it is as the general counsel to the Board of Trustees represented by a majority of the board.
Okay. Mr. Waxler, so there is a policy provision that we have that talks about the application and then a component related to the charter contract. And the charter contract seems to imply that all include the items listed in the application with any modifications required by the board.
Correct.
So can the board proceed in evaluating this, and if the board chooses to approve the contract as proposed, whether it does or doesn't include all of the elements as specified in the application, would that effectively reflect a modification by the board?
So, board members, let me respond this way to the board as a whole. Number one, the contract absolutely addresses each of these items that Ms. Lavoie identified. It may not address them to her satisfaction or to others' satisfaction or to the majority of the board's satisfaction, in which case the board may absolutely evidence its decision by a vote. With regard to the policy itself, the board is the only body who can continue to act, and even if its own policy says it may not, the board may change its own policy at its will. Mr. Williams, that's my answer.
Thank you, Mr. Waxler. Mr. Guzman.
Well, I counted 8. Ms. Lavoie said 7. I counted 8, and that's fine. But anyway, is this part of the motion?
I think the discussion is the basis for the motion, as I understood it, was to decline the proposed contract and arrangement. And this, I think, was the rationale, was it, at least in part, didn't reflect the elements that were required by policy in the application. So we can discuss this or anything else related to the motion that's on the table.
Yeah, okay, I understand that. And what I'm saying is that if this is part of the motion and our general counsel has said that these elements are discussed or spelled out or included in the contract, then I simply call for the question.
Okay, so we have a call for the question. Is there a second on the call for the question? Second, Ms. Moya. Now, calling for the question, there may be discussion, it requires 2/3 vote by the board to call for the question. So all those in favor of calling for the question, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Okay, and I didn't see what Ms. Bradley voted. Did she vote?
Yes or no? On the question or against the question?
Wait, what are we voting on?
Call another question. Actually, I would like it if Mr. Waxler could come back.
Well, right now I think we have a,
Am I out of?
no, well, let's just make sure, because I think we had, if, it depends on what you voted, because immediately the call of the question was, do we go ahead and vote or not, or do we continue discussing? And it doesn't preclude us voting on the main motion originally. So if your original vote was no, then we don't have the question yet, and we can continue discussing this particular motion, which might be helpful. So, Mr. Waxler, you want to come up and respond to Ms. Bradley's questions?
Excuse me, Mr. President.
Hold on, I'm not sure I recognized you, but.
Given the discussion we're having,
Ms. Lavoy?
I would offer a friendly amendment.
But
that
Ms. Lavoy,
Yes.
Ms. Bradley's got the floor.
Oh, excuse me.
So I know you're anxious about this, but give me just a minute. Let's let Ms. Bradley finish, and then we'll come back to you. Ms. Bradley?
Okay, I'm not sure if I just sat here and missed it, but I'm not particularly sure if I heard Ms. Lavoy's question get addressed. So if,
You want me to try that again, Ms. Bradley?
yes, I particularly, I didn't hear her question get addressed. And
Ms. Bradley, my understanding was that her question, well, I think it was Mr. Williams' question, but in any case.
Mr. Waxler, Ms. Lavoy's, what I'm saying is I didn't particularly hear her question get addressed. And I think what I heard her say, and maybe it was it was probably Ms. Barksdale, I apologize for that, was she had listed several components of the policy, articles in the policy that she feels that the contract was in violation of. What I did not hear was if we are or if we're not.
You are not, Ms. Bradley.
Okay, can you speak to why we are not?
Yes, ma'am, because, and there are 8 actually, not just 7. Admission, security, employment, proposed calendar, special ed, purpose or need, role of CEO, plan for student activities, and counseling. These are all addressed in the contract. It may not be addressed to the satisfaction of any one board member or to the board as a whole, but they are addressed. And indeed, the contract in some of these instances specifically allows the school district an idea to work through the specific procedures just like you have in your own policy. When you have a legal policy, you come in with a local policy, then there's a regulation, and then there are exhibits. So the specific question from this lawyer's point of view is that the contract does meet the requirements of the policy. It is now up to the Board of Trustees to determine whether or not it satisfies your level of expectation.
Ms. Bradley, does that address your question? Okay, Ms. Lavoy.
I'm not sure where we are. I'll wait to be called on.
Okay, Ms. Barksdale, Ms. Lavoy is deferring the floor.
Okay, thank you. I actually had some questions about some of the policies that Ms. Lavoy raised before I knew that before I was reminded that those are part of our ELL local policy, and I am not satisfied that they're all in the contract. Can you help me out with some of the specific provisions? For example, the safety policy or the security policy?
1B8, ma'am?
Is it 1B8?
Yes, ma'am, I believe that's correct.
Right. I asked the question to the administration, can you provide a copy of the IDEA security policy as is outlined in the contract, that there is a security policy? And I got the response, the IDEA emergency management plan used in their Valley schools has been requested. I suppose we don't have it. We will forward once received. I haven't seen it. IDEA has requested to work with AISD in the development of an emergency plan. I assume they don't have one that satisfies us or that we've worked on together, which would include current plans used at Allen and Eastside. So is that saying that the plan is our current plan? Is it their plan? Is it something that we're going to be getting later?
The plan, ma'am, is going to be finalized, but the security construct in the contract assures that the district will use its resources, not additional resources, that which we already have to help ensure the same type of safety and security services we provide to all of our students, including IDEA students who, if the board moves in that direction, will be AISD students. That includes police services at the elementary level, as well as SRO services at the middle and high school level. Are all of the is all of the relationship pieces completely worked through? No, ma'am. But the contract anticipates, if the board approves the contract, that AISD will sit down with IDEA and identify a specific policy, which may look very much like AISD's, and we'll do that should the board move us forward.
So that policy for now is not complete.
No, there are going to be a number of things in here that what you're calling not complete just means not all I's are dotted, not all T's are crossed, but
Please, remember, when we talk, let's let people talk, okay?
but there
Thank
is
you.
sufficient structure within the contract to meet the requirements of the policy and to move partners, should you decide to make us partners, move forthwith to get everything else done to the board's satisfaction. And again, that's why I said earlier, in my opinion, my legal opinion, the policy requirements are met. It is now the board's time to determine whether or not they're sufficiently met for you to justify your vote for this contract.
Okay.
Mr. President?
Ms. Barstow, are you finished?
I'm sorry.
Okay, I just want to make sure she's clear, and I'll come to you, Mr. Guzman.
So for the other policy issues that Trustee Lavoy has pointed out, it's for us to go through the contract now and compare, on our own, and compare what the standard is as outlined in the policy to if it's met in the contract or not. Is that where we are with regard to meeting the policy?
I'm sure, I think maybe each board member, I don't want to presume how each board member will address that.
Right.
And so it may be that we can take a few minutes to decide if you feel like the policy is adequately reflected in the contract or vice versa, and then that may be determined about how each individual trustee may choose to vote. Some people may have already looked at that, some people may not have looked at it yet before they got here. So I think it's something that each person's going to have to decide how it weighs in on their decision-making.
Okay, well, it would be helpful to me to have our general counsel walk us through at least the areas that Trustee Lavoy has pointed out and where they are satisfied in the contract.
Mr. Waxler, are you in a position to do that? At least point out, and again, it's just point out where I think they are. Again, I think as you've highlighted, it's going to be up to each individual trustee to decide whether it sufficiently addresses what they believe that the policy calls for.
Right.
Mr. President, before we proceed.
Okay, hold on a second.
Matt,
Mr. Guzman,
what is the status of the call for the question and the vote?
it was a 5-4 at this point. So that it had to have 2/3 majority, and we didn't get it. So we'll come back to the question. I think so. In effect, we're still discussing the question, and the answer to this may drive people's decision-making about whether they choose to support or oppose the motion from Ms. Lavoy. Mr. Waxler, do you need a couple minutes to sort of identify the provisions of?
It would have been very helpful, Mr. Williams, if somebody had contacted me in advance of the meeting tonight, just to give me a heads up on this so that I wouldn't waste any of the board's time.
Hey, folks, please.
So I don't think I'm very popular with people outside, maybe not inside either right now.
Just to let people in the audience know your history, but generally we have a practice to try to give our staff a heads up, not surprise them at the meeting, so they do have a chance to be prepared, so we don't have this awkwardness. Not that it changes what people are going to say or do, but that rather than trying to do this on the fly, we have the opportunity to work with our staff, who are our employees, who we hope we are trying to support. So in this case, it's going to.
Let me give you, I'm sorry.
Ms. Lavoy?
President, we were receiving emails as late as this afternoon in answers to our questions that were raised. So
Indeed.
I'd like to have a retort to what you said, Mr. Waxler, that when the administration provides us late in the day and late in the weekend responses, We're working until the moment that the meeting starts in order to formulate our questions. And let me also point out that this document contains multiple copies of the contract in its many versions. I think we're up to, how many versions, Mr. Waxler?
Well,
of the
contracts are
contract?
pretty iterative, Ms. Lavoy. I think this one that you get tonight is 7, which reflects all of the deliberation that has gone on based on editorials, board member questions, and the negotiations themselves. So I do understand.
Thanks, Mr. Waxler. So I'd like the public to understand that we've reviewed 7 contracts. And I'll speak for myself. I was working until the meeting tonight. And so I'm grateful for the responses that came in as late as today. But it does take some hours to look at every page here and compare it to the emails. Thank you.
So
argument
let's
there.
just, hold on a second. I mean, I know right now,
Mr. President?
we've got, just a second, we've got a battle for public opinion, right? But let's be clear, we sent this up, the contract out last Tuesday. We asked for board members to give comments back by Wednesday, so staff had time to get it. Some of the questions have been coming in from board members, including today. So some of the responses that we're getting back today are because the questions were asked today.
Thank you.
So it's not, I mean, let's not, I mean, I think there's a nice attempt to make an impression that we have somehow that there's a level of incompetence among our staff. They're working incredibly hard, trying to do what's the business of the district. I hope you all appreciate that this is not the only thing on the district's plate. They're trying, we've got lots of things that are happening every single day at every single campus with 86,000 kids and 120 campuses. So this is an important thing. But I don't think it's fair to imply or indicate that maybe the staff is not being responsive. I think the questions are coming in today. They're trying to respond today. It's very difficult. It's very challenging. This is a very controversial issue, and I understand that. But at least from my perspective, our people are working very hard throughout the district, all 11,000 of them, from the campuses to the administration. Thank you for what you do. Mr. Waxler, if you had a couple minutes to try to get ready.
Well, you know, board members, I can speak to admissions 8-2, security 1B8. These will just be a few. Employment 15A, although the statute's very clear about charters. Proposed calendar is Exhibit B, though it is clear that IDEA will not have its final calendar as per its usual processes for another month, but there is a sample of this year's calendar so that board can see how that works. Purpose and need, that's really for the board to determine, but there are a few whereases in the contract, and then the contract provisions itself speak to purpose and need, and I know that the superintendent has spoken to purpose and need for a long time. If you'll give me just a few minutes, I will go back and look at the role of the CEO. I do know that the plan for student activities and counseling, I'm not sure I know about student activities, but counseling, they will provide counselors, and should they need access to diagnosticians, which they may not have on site immediately, they will come to us, and at our cost we will provide those, and that is reflected in the contract. I can give you the provision in just a moment.
Okay, why don't you take a minute and do that, and while we'll put that component on pause and give other board members a chance to weigh in if they would so choose on this particular motion that we have at hand. And the motion was to, Ms. Boyles, I'm sorry to put the pressure on you for a second. Could you repeat the second motion that was made by Ms. Lavoy for purposes of action on this at this point? Okay, does that reflect your motion, Ms. Lavoy?
It does, although I did identify 8 problems. I'm willing to take the purpose and need off the table, and so 7 of the 19 essential elements were not met. Mr. President, either at this time or in a few minutes, whenever you like, I would like to address what I consider to be the most important essential element in our policy that is not addressed in the contract, and that is a plan for educating our special needs population. I'm happy to do that now, or I'm happy to wait a few minutes.
Give me just a minute. I know Ms. Barksdale, Ms. Savoy has spoken. I just want to make sure the other board members that might have a desire to weigh in have had that opportunity. Mr. Guzman, then we'll come back, and then.
I think that the general counsel ought to be given an opportunity to respond to those 7 or 8 matters rather than to start articulating those matters from the dais. I mean, we asked him to do that. He's doing his homework, so